Many of you are more likely, when you get your first apartment, to subscribe to HBO Go because you're not. All the hands go up. So to us, it's in many ways a terrific marketing vehicle.
Never in my entire career have I seen such a tremendous and immediate response to a merchandising policy. And I'm positive, Frank, that if we expand our policy, we'll expand our results as well. Therefore, from now on, not only will our Santa Claus continue in this manner, but I want every salesperson in this store to do precisely the same thing. If we haven't got exactly what the customer wants, we'll send him where he can get it. No high pressuring and forcing a customer to take something he doesn't really want.
But after all,
we'll be known as the helpful store, the friendly store, the store with a heart, the store that places public service ahead of profits. And consequently, we'll make more profits than ever before. Oh, yes, I know it's late and we're all tired and we want to go to dinner, so we'll continue the first thing in the morning. In the meantime, you fellas get together and figure out the best way to promote this thing.
We'll do that. Good night, R.H.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, R.H.
Good night. Good night. I want to thank you two again, and in your Christmas envelopes, you'll find a more practical expression of my gratitude.
Thank you, Mr. Macy.
And tell that Santa Claus I won't forget him either.
Yes, Mr. Macy.
And gives them an opportunity, hopefully, to become addicted to it. And what we're in the business of doing is building addicts, building video addicts. And the way we do that is by exposing our product and our shows and our brand to more and more people.
If you pay me $200, you go fuck yourself.
Okay, well.
Look, I don't need to sell the drugs. The drugs will sell themselves.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Right, I'm going to switch this thing off now because it's kind of distracting, you know. I like looking at you. I like looking you in the face. I don't like looking at you through the lens of a camera. It's pretty fucking weird, I have to say.
My name is Bruce Dickinson.
You look better off in the flesh, I think, Stockholm, seriously. Switch off. God, technology, man. Stop! I'm going to break you in a minute if you don't stop. Don't you just hate it? Anybody out there, like, do the internet and stuff like that? You do, don't you? Anybody download anything out there? Who said that? You don't, do you? Don't you know it's very naughty to download things off the internet? Metallica don't like it. I'll do you a deal, all right? Because nobody's. You brought a camera. Oh, look at the security guards. Camera. Who's brought a camera? That's all right. Take as many pictures as you fucking like, mate. It's okay. It's cool. Because. And if anybody's brought any tape recorders, you haven't, of course. Nobody's brought a tape recorder, have they? No. Because if you want to tape record the next song, which is a new song that we're going to play for you tonight, if you want to tape record this next song and put it on the internet and MP3 it, send it to all your friends, it's okay. Because although we have a new album coming out in September, new Iron Maiden album. and we've heard what people say that, you know, that everybody's stealing music and everything else, and I have my own idea. I reckon that in this world there is an awful lot of shit music that is not worth paying money for, and I don't mind if you steal that. If you listen to our new album, all right, and you think it's worth, I don't know, three Swedish or 4 Swedish beers, okay? If you figure it's worth paying for that, and you think it's a cool album, I trust you that you'll go and have 4 beers and go buy the record. But if you think it's a piece of shit, fucking download it for free. I don't give a shit because I think it's a great record. We'll see, anyway. Take a chance, hey.
Coming from you, Bruce, that means a lot.
You know, what can I say? The album is called Dance of Death, right? It's out September.
And the former broadcast executive Barry Diller. This engineer has come up with something called Area, which basically says, I will create little antennas and I will capture the signals from CBS and NBC and all the broadcast networks. And for $10 to $12 a month, I will store them on a server, right, and I will stream them to your devices, and you could watch network television for that little amount of money. You don't have to, you can skip your cable bill. You don't have to pay an average of $75 a month for cable. You can pay $10 to $12 a month.
But you can only get what's over the air.
Only over the air, but most people do watch broadcast. Not exclusively. You can't get ESPN. You can't get CNN.
Right. Those are cable products.
Those are cable products. But you can get the major broadcast products, and you can reduce your costs. And if you want to have some additional things, you can do Aereo for $10 to $12. You can do Netflix for $8. If you want to do HBO, you can do that for $15. But nevertheless, you're going to spend half of what you're going to spend on your cable bill. That's the argument. He has won in 3 courts so far. The courts have said it is no different than if you have an antenna on your roof, which you're illegally allowed to do, and you capture broadcast signals. That's what he is doing. It is before the Supreme Court this term.
A big decision.
A huge decision.
So what are the implications for it? Other than for people, the specifics of that are involved in the lawsuit, what are the implications for
if Aereo
its future?
If Aereo is deemed to be not what Les Moonves thinks it is, which he calls it theft,
right,
and which is what broadcasters who have joined in fighting it, not just broadcasters, but cable guys have joined in fighting it, they call it theft. But if in fact it is free over the air and it's legal, then you say, well, the cable networks, which are now paying $4 billion a year in what's called retransmission consent, which is the right to air the broadcast programs, they're not going to pay that money.
No.
Why should I pay you $4 billion when Aereo is taking it for free?
Right.
Right? Netflix is going to say, wait, why am I paying you a license fee of X dollars when they have the same programs and they're not paying for it? So I want to reduce my license fee from CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox. I don't want to be paying you $4 billion, the $4 billion. So it has this, it throws everything up in the air, potentially.
And most people believe that Aereo will win simply because they've won at every court since?
I don't know.
So far?
If you believe in copyright, and you think about the implications of this, CBS has a show, I happen to think it's a wonderful show, called The Good Wife.
Right.
It's on
it's having its best year.
Sunday nights. And one of the things they smartly did was they gave it to Netflix, so it built up an...
You pay me $200 or go fuck yourself.
Okay, well.
Look, I don't need to sell the drugs.
audience.
It presents the brand to more and more people and gives them an opportunity, hopefully, to become addicted to it.
Breaking Bad, they built up an audience for Breaking Bad. And so they pay roughly $4 to $5 million an hour for that show. How is CBS going to be able to afford $4 to $5 million or quality television if, in fact, if they're right, that Aereo is pirating their programming and stealing their programming. So that would affect the consumer. Of course, you wouldn't be able to afford that kind of production value.
At the same time, John Malone, having done it in Europe, is now trying to put together, the largest cable conglomerate.
Okay, but in the first edition of Understanding Media, when you said the medium is the message, you meant the effect of the medium is what counts, and not the message.
Not the program.
Right.
Not the program.
So now what is the figure ground adding to this?
I was not using figure ground
Right.
in the early time of when I wrote this book. I was not using figure ground. Now I have switched completely to figure ground.
But
It was implied in here, but it was not
Right.
explicit.
Right. So I mean, you still stand by the medium is more important than the content of the medium.
Of course, because the medium is this huge change that takes place in the world.
Right.
It's the program is not the change.
Right.
Oh no. It's the huge service environment that medium creates. It's like the highway. It's obvious the motor car, it does very little, but the highway does an awful lot to people.
Yeah, so...
Well, the motor car is very minor compared to the highway and the factories and the oil companies. In other words, the service environment is the medium, and that changes people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who travels on the highway. When?
The,
Doesn't matter who travels or when. The highway is what changes people and their relationships, where they live, where they work, and so on and so on, all changed by the highway.
but in other words, the highway, the service environment is the
medium.
container,
Is the medium.
the medium.
Yeah, it's the ground. The medium is ground, and the so-called message is always figure. Yeah.
In the world. Because, in his own words, it's not cable television, it's broadband.
Well, there are two questions there, Charlie. One is that Malone, like a lot of people, you have these giants that are battling and yet embracing at the same time. They're friend enemies. So the broadcast guys want to get more from the cable system, more retransmission consent dollars from them. Cable guys want to pay them less. Then you got the cable networks, the ESPNs, which want to receive more money from cable. Cable wants to pay them less. And then you got Netflix, which wants to be in there, and they're on the wire, the broadband wire, and very reliant on that, and they help build that wire. But they're all competing. So John Malone comes in, and he's a power player, and he says cable is too weak today. So we have to do a couple of things. We have to consolidate. So I own a piece of Charter Communications, one of the seventh largest cable company. Why don't we buy Time Warner? And now Time Warner's in play, and others are circling it. Cox is circling it. Comcast is circling it, as well as Charter. So he's saying if cable can consolidate, and instead of being 8 or 9 cable systems around the country, combine it, we'd have a lot more leverage over the broadcasters and over ESPN in order to hold down some of the costs. The second thing
cable
is,
has a pipe into the home.
Then that's the second question. The second question becomes, if we increasingly have small margins, if we own a cable box and our margins are shrinking because we're paying so much to air these programs, what do we get out of the program business?
The program is not the change.
Right.
Oh no. It's the huge service environment that medium creates. It's like the highway. It's obvious the motor car, it does very little, but the highway does an awful lot to people.
Yeah, so...
Well, the motor car is very minor compared to the highway and the factories and the oil companies. In other words, the service environment is the medium, and that changes people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who travels on the highway. When? Doesn't matter who travels or when. The highway is what changes people and their relationships, where they live, where they work.
What if we just concentrate on broadband, the internet connection in the house? And if we do that, our profit margins are 80 to 90% on that, And maybe we can start charging like electricity, like power companies do, in meter usage. So Netflix then says, oh my God, if they put a meter on me, that's going to, since a third of all the broadband traffic at night is Netflix, then that's going to jack up their price. They can't charge $8 a month anymore. They got to raise their prices. Or what if instead of charging Netflix, they charge the consumer who uses Netflix? So that creates turmoil once again. But what it would do is that it gives more power to cable, which is what John Malone's endgame is.
So where is Jeff Bezos and Apple?
Jeff Bezos and Apple and Microsoft and Netflix are together in opposition to that. They want to assure that something called net neutrality continues, and that everyone is treated the same and the same price if they use the internet, and that you don't have what you have with the cell phone, which is data charges. And so far, the court has ruled that the FCC imposition of net neutrality was wrong, and that's also going to be fought in the court.
You hear the word now, the golden age of television is upon us.